quick because we started later on tonight. But what we're going to be talking about today basically is how to build the needs in the home. Now, you may ask me, Vivian, why do I need to build the need? Because when you're doing mortgage protection, that's a very emotional no sale. And the reason I say no sale is because you're not selling anything. You're not a salesperson, you are an advisor, right? That's very important for you to understand. You're going in there because they filled out this form, they read what it is that is available to them, and they want some information and they want to protect their family. So you are an advisor, you were there to advise them on how is the best way to do that to protect their family. So if there's no emotion and if there's no understanding of how this can help them, it's going to be a very hard sale. Now, if you do build the need, you don't need to sell anything. They need to sell you on why you need to provide them that protection. And that's what I usually say. I'm not here to sell you anything. You're here to sell me why it is that I need to protect you, right? And if you have that mindset when you go into home, you're going to be able to close a lot more because you're not going for the sale. You're going for the advice. Anyway, so the way that we're going to build these needs is throughout several different steps. And what we're going to talk about today is the financial inventory, which I call the financial fire drill. And basically what we're going to do with that is we're going to show them exactly where their finances are. So we're doing a quickie budget, right? A lot of people do not have the time or just don't sit down with their partner to talk, where's our budget at? How much money are we spending? How much money can we spend on anything else? Where do we need to cut? And a great example for that was today, Austin, which is our top producer. Austin struggled with mortgage protection for a little while. And last week he had the face to tell me that his critical period presentation after he just watched a critical period training was garbage. And after he wrote a $5,000 policy on critical period, and I told him stop being ridiculous. But anyway, Austin's coming a long way when it comes to mortgage protection. He's starting to get really good at it. And today he was sitting in the home with somebody, and she didn't have after he went through the financial inventory, which is what I'm going to show you guys how to do tonight. There's no money. There's no money to put into anything. He straight up told the client, go pick up get 2 months of your bank statements. And she's like, what? She went on, I don't know, maybe she printed it or she had the bank statements. She brought up the bank statements and he literally highlighted everything she was spending and found the budget into those bank statements to put into the life insurance.
She had spent $2,100, which was the rest of the money available to her at Walmart. So, and she was like, what? She's like, she didn't even understand what was happening to her money because it's easy. You swipe the card, you don't think about it, and expenses creep up. So that's I never even thought of doing that. That's amazing. Like repurposing.
That's amazing. That's like,
yeah,
again, you're not there to sell. You're there to advise. And if you are advising them and there's no money in their budget, you have to make that money. You have to make that space on the budget. How do you do that? Go into their finances, pick up their bank statements, find out how you can help them put the protection they need in place, period. That's what he did. Great example, great job, and a great job, Austin. I'm very proud of you for that. So financial inventory. Let's start from the beginning. If you have watched the last two videos, we talked about all the steps that I go through. The mortgage protection presentation needs to be very structured. The very first thing you're gonna do is gonna be the role and purpose. The second thing is gonna do the surface why. Gonna be the surface why. After that, you're gonna gather all of the information on the client's qualification form. After you gather that information, you're gonna do the financial fire drill, which is what we're gonna be doing tonight. After the financial fire drill, you're going to pull out the quotes and give them some options, and then you're gonna write the applications, and after that you're going to lock down and you're going to cement though, you know, the application and the policies that you just wrote. So rowing purpose. Remember, doing the rowing purpose, you're going to let them know everything you were doing here tonight. You don't want to kidnap your clients. You want to address every possible objection that's coming up. You can go back to our videos before to be able to learn how to do your rowing purpose. Then you're going to go into the surface why. The surface why, you're going to ask them why they filled out that form, what's important to them. You're gonna dig right in, and you want to hear them say why they need this type of protection. Remember, they need to convince you that they need it. You don't need to convince them that they need it. It's completely the opposite. Most people do a switcheroo. They're trying to convince people that they need something, where if you asking the right questions and they are trying to convince you, then you don't need to sell anything because you're not a salesperson, right? Okay. So then we're going to fill out that client's qualification form. And then when you get to that client's qualification form, we're going to flip that page. So here's a good example. Okay. We fill this out. So I'll fill out with their information. Then you're going to flip the page. And then we're going to do the financial inventory in the back. I'm going to show you guys how to do the financial inventory. I'm going to share my screen from my iPad. And we're going to go. So share content. Host, can you allow me to share the content? I can't hear you.
I did that the first call and I don't remember.
Click on share screen. Click on share screen.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously. There you go. So I have to start it.
That's fine. I'm going to share here.
All right.
Okay. So let's go here to my notes. Here I'm going to do a new one. All right. So what I'm going to do is I just gather all of their information. I went through the first steps, and then I'm going to flip my page, and then we're going to do a financial fire drill. And basically you're doing a budget for them. So I'm going to say, Bob and Mary, so let me just recap some of the things we just talked about, okay? We have a mortgage for $230,000. And we have about $100,000 every equity in this house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And you're spending $2,300 a month on the mortgage payments. Is that right?
It's $2,100.
$2,100. Okay. Okay. You're just making my life difficult. Thank you, Adriana.
And Mary and Bob. I don't know who you're talking about.
Okay. So $2,100. Okay, great. So let's talk about a little bit. Let's just go through your expenses real quick, just so I know where you guys are with your budget. So sure. We have $2,100 for the mortgage. How much are you spending in water and electricity?
It's about 200.
200. What about phones? Cell phone?
150.
150. What about cable and internet?
And that's about $100 a month.
$100. Okay. What about food?
Food is about, I don't know, $600 a month.
$600. Okay. Do you have any credit cards?
Yeah, we pay about $300 a month on credit cards.
$300. Okay. And then do you have any HOA?
Yeah, $400.
$400. Do you have any car payments?
Yes, we're paying like $1,200 between both cars.
$1,200. Okay. What about car insurance?
Insurance is about a couple $100.
$200. Okay. Anything else that you can think of that you spend every month that's not here? We're trying to put down your basic expenses, not, you know, luxuries, just what's basic that you absolutely need to survive.
There's an old school loan that's a couple $100 a month.
$200?
200, yeah, about.
Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, let's see. So basically, here's what I'm doing, guys. Remember, we want to find the need. We want to show them that they need, because at this point, we've asked them we told them a few things during their own purpose. We told them that we're going to tell them if they need it or not. If they didn't need it, you're going to tell them they don't need it. Now, if they do need it, you need to show them that they need, and then you're going to ask them how things would work out if in case something were to happen, and you're going to show them, and then you're going to have them tell you that they need it, not the other way around. You're basically proving your point, and you're being honest when you say if you don't need it, which happens. Yesterday I was in an appointment, they were making $11,000 a month. Unless they lost that income, they would be fine. They had $2,800 of bills. However, they might lose that income. What happens if there's a pandemic? He got this job 6 months ago. So it's kind of like one of those things. They don't need it now, but what happens if they did lose that job, right? So what we're doing here is we're putting everything in one sheet so they can visualize everything that you just talked about. And then we're gonna figure out if they need. You're finding the need, you're finding the money. And this inventory can go many different ways. It can go in a way that they do need it. It can go in a way that they don't need it. Now, I always say, if they do have a beneficiary, a husband and a wife and kids, they always need it. The only situation people don't need mortgage protection is if they have no beneficiaries, which I have come across. There was no wife, there was no son, there was no daughter. The beneficiary would be a niece that lives in another state. You know what? Nobody's going to be homeless if that house is lost. Then he did not need it. He got it anyway, but he didn't need it. I told him, you don't need it. But if there is a husband, if there is a wife, like these guys that I saw yesterday, God forbid something happened, they lose their jobs. How exactly are they pay? They're going to pay for that job? For the mortgage. So there's always a need. You just have to show it to them, right? So what I'm gonna do here, if the case is a critical period, right now I'm gonna straight up tell them, okay, so Bob and Mary, let me ask you a question. And we went through this last week for the critical period. Whose money is this?
But sorry, I was letting someone in. What did you point to?
Whose money is this?
That's the bank's money.
Okay, and whose money is this?
That's ours. It's the equity in our home, right?
That's your money. That's right. Now, if you don't pay this, what happens to your money?
Well, we lose it.
You lose the money. Okay. So at the bare bones minimum, I just want to let you know, I want to protect this because this is your money. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And then I leave it quiet and I go back to the financial inventory. And then say, okay, so let's find out what it is that you guys have for expenses here right now. And then we'll go from there. So we have $2,100 for mortgage. We have $200 for water and electricity. We have $150 for the phones. We have $100 for the cable and internet. We have $600 for food, $300 for credit cards, $400 for HOA, $1,200 for car, and $200 for car insurance, and $200 for school loans. So I'll get there, Audrey. $5,450. That's basically what you guys are spending for your basic expenses right now. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, that sounds right. Okay, great. And now let me just see. So it looks like you guys together, you have an income of about $6,000. Is that right?
Just about, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So here's what I do to find out if you need mortgage protection, okay? Just so I can understand the situation. Here is your world. Sorry, I'm so sorry, John. I didn't mean to make this really ugly world. Let me see if I can fix it a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit funnier now, you know, it's funky, but you get it, it's your words. They always laugh. And then I say, okay, so your world costs $54.50. Now, let me ask you a question. This is very important, guys. Let me ask you a question. Your basic expenses are about $6,000, now your basic expenses are about $54.50, and you are making about $6,000 a month. There's a little bit of a difference in there, not much, but a little bit of a difference. Are you guys saving any money? Are you putting any money away, or do you just spend the rest of the money with whatever comes up?
By the looks of it, we're spending it because we're definitely not saving it.
You're not, okay, so you're not putting any money away?
No.
At this time. Okay, perfect. All right. That's normal. That's what I do too. That's why I have a bunch of these IULs, these return of premium policies. So that way I make myself put some money away. Does that make sense? It's like, because otherwise I would spend everything in shoes. You want to make them feel good. You want to make them feel it's okay for them to spend a little bit more than, than whatever is basic, because that's what everybody does. So you relate, you tell them, oh, that's okay. That's what we all do. I do it too. Okay. Now, okay. So, John, here's you. I'm going to try making you pretty. Let's see what I can do. I'm going to put some hair on you, John. I'm going to make you happy. Oh my God, John, you are so ugly. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
I have like, my hair is up. You just drew like a comb.
Okay, hold on. Let me do a little bit higher. Is it better?
There you
Does
go.
that look better?
Now we're talking.
Okay, perfect. All right. So there's a John. You look angry. I'm so sorry. I tried making you happy, but it didn't work out.
Well, I don't know what's about to happen to
you. Mary, I'm gonna put some hair on you. Oh, then look at you. You have beautiful lush hair. And then, oh, there you go. You kind of angry too, but hold on. I'm gonna put some clothes on you, Mary, because it's inappropriate, Mary, to be walking around naked. I always say that. And they love it. They laugh and all that. So, okay, Mary, here's you. Okay, great. So, John, you're bringing in around $4,000 a month, and Mary is bringing in $2,000 a month. That sounds right, right?
That's right.
Okay, perfect. And now your basic expenses are about $5,450, but the reality is you guys are really spending everything that you're bringing in, which is around $6,000. So your expenses are $6,000. So, we know that if we go down to the basics, it's going to be that $5,450. Now, I'm so sorry, John, I'm going to have to kill you real quick, but I'm going to bring you back to life. Okay. So let's look at what this would look like if, God forbid, something happened and John didn't come home last night. Okay. John, sorry, you're dead. Mary, how would that turn out for you?
Not very good.
What do you mean by not very good?
Well, I don't know. It would be devastating. He's gone. And I have all these things to worry about. So obviously not very good. I mean,
what do you mean by that? It would be devastating financially or emotionally? What do you mean by that?
Well, everything. I mean, I would have to figure out the burial and all the stuff and pay for all the expenses and yeah, his income wouldn't be here. I don't know. Yeah, financially, of course, he makes twice the money I make.
Okay. And so do you think that you would be able to keep this house for long, or do you think that with all the emotional things going on and the fact that now you're only really making $2,000 and you have $6,000 of expenses, how do you think that would be for you? Like, how do you think that you would be able to deal with it?
I think it would be a disaster.
And why do you say that?
Because I wouldn't have enough money to keep up with the expenses.
And then I will turn to John and I will say, so John, how do you feel about that? Like leaving Mary behind with $2,000 of income and $6,000 of bills, having to pick up the pieces, bury you and all of that?
Well, at first, I never really looked at it this way. I always thought maybe, we would save some money or that things would get taken care of but yeah, I mean, she's screwed. If I die, she only brings in, 2,000 out of the 6,000 into the household. So obviously I don't want to leave my wife in that position.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm hearing is that you definitely need to have some type of protection in place to make sure that you're not leaving her in that position. Is that correct?
That's about right. Yeah, that's correct.
That makes sense. All right. So John, I told you I was gonna leave you back, bring you back to life. So here you go, you're back in life. You're alive again. Okay, so that's the circle is the circle of life.
Thank
And
you
now,
for reviving
Mary,
me.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to, get rid of you, but I'll bring you back to life too. I have that power. So, Mary, you're not here anymore. We just lost that $2,000 of income, and John just lost the love of his life. John, how would that turn out for you?
In what way? Like financially, well, obviously I'd be devastated, right? I mean, I love my wife more than anything. It would be tough, but I'm sure I can cut down on something. I would get rid of one of the cars. I would repurpose. I guess I could get by and figure things out.
And how long do you think it would take for you to get rid of the cars, to bury your wife, to grieve the love of your life, to deal with all of that, to take care of the kids,
Oh boy,
to figure out some
I
daycare for your 3 kids or help? How long do you think that you think that would require for you to be able to do all of that?
I couldn't. I don't even know where to begin. I have no idea. Like getting rid of one of the cars. I don't know. It might take it might take a few months. I don't know. A couple of months, 2, 3 months. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So you have $4,000 of income. And right now you have your wife helping with your kids. Now you're gonna have expenses with daycare or expenses with childcare. And you have your expenses are basically $1,500 more than what you're making. And you're gonna have some extra expenses there when it comes to taking care of those kids. And you're gonna have to deal with the emotional devastation. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So you truly think that with $4,000 of income, you would be able to sustain $6,000 of bills and 3 kids?
Uh, no, I would have to drastically cut everything out. And I don't know if I can do that. We're used to living a certain way, right? So I don't know. I don't think so. I guess not.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a mom and I work, and it's not easy to be able to go to work, to take care of your kids, to bury your wife, and all of that. So I think that you're not looking at it the way that it probably would be for you to handle, because $4,000 with $5,500 of bills, it's not gonna be easy to cut. And you're gonna have a bunch of new expenses because your wife is not worth $2,000 that she's making. She's worth $15,000 for what she does for these kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. When you put it that way, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Just a lot to process. Like I couldn't even imagine losing her, right? So
Okay. Well, basically, what I'm looking at here is, let me bring you, hold on, Mary, let me bring you back to life. Okay. Now, let me ask you another question, which is very important here. If you were to not die, because if you're dead, John, it doesn't matter, your wife is suffering, but you're not there to watch. But if you don't die and you get like cancer or you have a heart attack, and you can work, you're in the hospital for 3 months. How would that turn out for Mary?
that would be a disaster.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I'd be basically in the hospital, unable to do anything. I couldn't provide for my family. I couldn't work. I have no money coming in.
How would you handle that, Mary?
I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start. It would be overwhelming for me.
You guys see how they are the ones talking about what would happen. I'm not convincing them that they need this. They're convincing themselves. His wife is telling him how that would be for her. He's telling her how it would be for him. Like, and they're listening to it long enough where there is no me selling, right? So if I'm doing a term 125, or if I'm doing a CBO 100 where there is living benefits, I'm gonna dig in a little bit more into what would look like if they didn't die, because it's much worse if you don't die, because you're gonna have to watch your loved ones and your family actually hurting, and there's nothing you can do about it because you're in the hospital or you're sick, you're going through radiation, you're going through all of it. So you go through what happens if you die, and then what happens if you don't die, but you can't provide, right? Which is the case of a critical illness or a chronic illness or a terminal illness. So you want to dig into it a little bit. And what this financial inventory is doing for you is you're not convincing them, you're showing them, you're drawing the picture. And when you draw the picture, you just did a quick budget for them. And like just what Austin did, he did a budget and then he found out that there was no budget here. I can see that there is some budget in here, right? There's $550 out of their basic expenses that I can put into insurance. Right here, I know how much I can get into whatever it is that I want to write them. As my friend Bobby John says, the reason Vivian's so good in the home is because she will find out what's on your pennies and she will take it. But it's not that I take it, it's because I find out what it is that it's available to put into that protection. I need to know what it is that I have to work with, right? And once I know what it is that I have to work with, I know what my base is. Then we can go from there, right? So at this point, I know how much money they're spending. I know what their basic expenses are. I know what their equity is. I know what's important to them. I ask enough questions to understand what is important to them. I show them what would happen if they died. I show them what would happen if they didn't die. I made them tell me why they need this type of protection, how they would feel like if they didn't have this type of protection. And then I'm gonna, after I hear and I understand what's important to them, because again, guys, you can't try selling anything to these people. They need to sell you. So I understood what's important to them, right? And I'm gonna say, okay, sounds great. So I have a better understanding of what it is that you guys are looking for. I do understand, you convinced me that there's a need here. You definitely need some type of protection to make sure that your 3 kids are not left, in without a home, that your wife's taken care of, that your husband is taken care of. So I'll pull a few different options for you. Now, if I'm doing an equity protection or critical period, like I explained last week, at this time, I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of make that case for the critical period. And I'm going to explain what's available. And a lot of times I will do a critical period on the young and healthy as well, which is a good thing because it doesn't mean like they don't need to be old and with health issues. I can do a critical period using a term product, right? And with doing that, basically we have the living benefits as well. So in this case, I'll tell them, I'll say, okay, so I have an understanding, John and Mary, of what it is that you guys need. I'm going to show you a few different options. Okay. I'm going to show you the full mortgage payoff, which basically, God forbid something happens to you, will pay off the entire home. And I don't mean just die. I mean, if you get cancer, a heart attack, a stroke, anything critical, it's going to pay off the home. Okay, I'm gonna, if you have a chronic illness or a terminal illness as well, and we can always add some accidental death in there if you want some extra coverage, okay? I'm gonna show a half mortgage payoff. If that option's a little bit, too much for you, we can do, half on you, John, and half on you, Mary, so that way we can add some accidental death in there. So we cover the home, completely if you have an accident because you guys are young and healthy. And then it's not going to be as expensive and not such a big of a burden. And if those options are still a little bit, we have an option of doing what I call a critical period, which is basically a smaller policy that's going to cover you guys during that critical period of time when you most likely to lose that home because you're going through a lot, right? You just lost your loved one. You have kids. You have to give your kids support and yourself. And you have to deal with all those bills, all those expenses that now you just lost, either half or more than half of your income. Does that make sense? And then what I'm going to do, go ahead.
I think it's a really key point that you bring up because people always say that, oh, I'll figure it out or I'll get by or whatever, but they don't realize the grieving processes can be quite lengthy, right? So where our minds are not right, we don't know what's going on, you're losing sleep, all these things are stacking up. the pressure, you gotta, I mean, it's an ordeal. I'm sure we've all lost loved ones in one way or another. When my, you know, when my grandparents passed away, 3 out of the 4, yeah, they lived very, very long lives. They were okay financially, but I mean, it was still stressful to see my parents have to go through that. Organizing the burial, the wake, yada, yada, yada. The whole thing is just like, it's still a blur so
And
many
that's
years after.
important to have people visualize that, guys.
Yeah.
Paint the picture, have them see it. It can be very uncomfortable for you to do that, but it's important that you do it, because if you don't do it, what's going to happen is they are not going to understand their need. They're not going to understand how important it is to put this protection in place. And if they understand the needs, they're gonna get the coverage. Again, it's not about money. It's about putting the protection in place if they need it, right? And the reason I will show 3 options is because you wanna make sure that the client is comfortable with you. Oh, look, Jada is holding my baby. Oh, my baby. You want to make sure that the client is comfortable with you and he feels like you have their best interest in mind, and that you're really working on getting within their budget, by having 3 options. And again, if they're young and healthy, like really young and really healthy, I would just show them a full and half. And sometimes when they have a little bit of a tighter budget, I will show full and half and critical period. And and I will start with full and half, and then I will go to the critical period if I had to. Because I don't want to be showing $30 policies if I know they probably will take the $80 policy, right? So I will go to the $30 policy if there's a kickback on the $80 policy. Because the majority, just think about this, and that this is very important when you're showing options. When it comes to mortgage protection, the average policy you're going to sell, the most common policy you're going to sell is going to be $80, around the $80 mark. Okay. So when you're showing options, you want to always have an $80 option. And what I usually do is I do my bottom option $80. Okay. So I don't want to be showing $60 because they're going to pick that if you show it. I don't want to show $30 or $40. I will show a $200 option depending on their income. Again, ask your upline how you should be doing this. The way I teach my team is if their income is like $2,000, the maximum I'm going to be showing is around $200. If it's $4,000, the maximum I'm going to be showing is around $400. Okay. Now I will always have an $80 option because that's the most common they're going to go for. And then if for some reason that $80 is too much, then you can go down from there. But you want to make sure that you're optimizing your annual premium, and you don't want to be showing options that are too low. You also don't want to be showing options that are too high, which that's debatable because sometimes options that are too high sell the options that are, right in the middle. So it makes them, oh, okay, this one's pretty affordable because this one is $600. But you don't want to base the options you show on money either. You want to base on what they need. Again, you're not here to sell people. You're here to protect people. If you have that mindset, you're going to sell a lot. Trust me, you will. So you're going to show them the options. And then when you get to that point, and before you show them the options, you need to address the think about, which is, I'm going to do a whole call next week about how to avoid the think about. One of the ways you do that is by addressing the think about before you show the options. But right here with this financial inventory, what you just did is you did the budget for them, and you were already addressing, oh, we need to go over your budget. No, you don't. We just went over your budget. There's no need for it. Did you not tell me something? Because I went over your budget right here. You paying $2,100 for your mortgage. You're spending about $5,450 for your expenses. You guys are making $4,000, $2,000. If one of you die, you were screwed, and if the other one of you dies, you're screwed. Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong. So what is it that you need to go over?
That's going to be an interesting call. It's going to be a really good one, I think, because I think that's probably the biggest objection you'll get in the home, right? And so, oh, we want to talk, we want to think about it, we want to talk about it, you know, like we just have to make sure the numbers make sense. I'm not sure we really need this. We want to just talk about it. So you're really good at that, at overcoming that, right? So yeah, that call is going to be awesome, honestly. It's probably the biggest objection that anyone will ever receive, any agent out there receives, right? So
okay, so this is how we do the financial fire drill. Questions. Tell me your questions so I can go
type them in
over
the
them.
chat, guys, and we'd be more than
About
happy
the financial fire drill, guys. That's what the call is about. So if you guys have any questions when it comes to setting that up,
you're welcome
let's
to
address that. No questions? Nobody has questions?
No, just
unmute yourself and ask the question. You don't need to write it
down.
down. Just unmute yourself. Adriano let you unmute today. He's nice.
Well, I didn't. You did technically. I said type it in the chat, but you're just like as
No,
usual.
I have a question.
Unmute yourself and ask.
Katie.
So what if somebody says that they have 200,000 in whole life?
How much?
200,000.
Okay, so that's a really good one. So that you're gonna draft that before when you're doing the credibility sheets, right? You're gathering the information. This is one of the best things I like to overcome. So every time you are going through, again, you want to address the objection. The best way to avoid objections is not to get them. Okay. And you have to address those objections as they start appearing before the objection actually comes, right? So when you are doing the financial or the credibility sheet, you're filling out the information, you're gonna ask them, just so I know what it is that you already have in place, do you have any life insurance? They're gonna tell you, oh yeah, I have a $200,000 whole life. Okay, great. What did you take that policy for? Oh, I took it so if something happens, he replaced my income. That makes sense. So you're making about $100,000 a year. That's 2 years of replacement income. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, great. So I'm gonna write down replacement of income, 2 years, $200,000 whole life. Okay. And then I will tell you, say, oh, okay, just so you know, Katie, the majority of my families, they do have life insurance. Some of them have millions of dollars of life insurance. I'm one of those because I'm a hoarder for life insurance because of what I went through. But the reason you would take a mortgage protection policy as well is because you don't want that $200,000 to go to the bank, do you? Do you?
Well, the equity, no, not at all.
No, exactly. You want that money to go to your kids or to your wife. You want that to replace your income, which is what you took it for, right? 2 years of replacement of income? Exactly. So, your nest egg, your 401ks, your whole life insurance, whatever life insurance you have, you want that, your nest egg, you want it to go to your family to replace your income. And this policy is specifically to go to the bank, to pay off the home. So you don't have to worry about your kids hurting because they didn't have, something enough, left behind. Does that make sense? And they always say, yes, absolutely makes sense. Remember, before you present the numbers, you are an advisor. After you present the numbers, you are a salesperson. So we want I lost my train of thought. You want to address those objections before they come while you are an advisor. So when you're back there and then you're giving them options and then they say, oh, no, we have $200,000 of life. Oh, hold on a minute, Katie. Hold on a minute. I asked you what that policy was for, didn't I? You told me to replace your income. You can't use that life insurance for both things. You can't protect your mortgage and replace your income. So we're not touching that money. That money is to go to your kids. And then you just go right back to what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so labeling whatever they have in place, giving it a purpose.
Name those puppies.
Yeah, name your puppies. The only time you should name your puppies.
Name the puppies. If you label it, it's gonna come up. They're gonna say I have life insurance. Nope, you don't. The life insurance that you took is to replace your income, or you took this policy to cover your final expenses. Or you can't do two things with that one policy, John. That's not gonna work out. So That's basically how you address that. And you always want to say the majority of my families do have life insurance, but you want that nest egg to go to your kids. You don't want it to go to the bank, do you? Any other questions, guys?
Now's the time, folks. I'm sure people have questions out there.
Austin Harless had a $10,000 day. Look at him. He's
He
all
can't get his
happy with his
camera
family
straight.
first life jacket on
Got a
Sunday.
jacket? No, I gotta get one too.
Yeah, it's
then.
a jacket.
But we don't need jackets in Miami
Very
right
fancy.
now. I don't know, it's weird.
Anybody else? Any more questions? Don't be shy. All right, guys. No more questions. Then we're gonna go. How much? What? Bryson.
Can the beneficiary be the bank?
No, no. The beneficiary needs to have
The insured party
insurable
needs to have,
interest.
the insured party needs to, the insured has to have insurable interest.
Yeah. So it can be a family member, a loved one. It can be your trust. It can be, but it cannot be the bank. So it would go to your wife or your kids, and your kids would be the people that would, pay the bank.
What if they don't
say
want to
I don't
dive
have
in?
money? That's why you do the financial inventory. You
What-
just found out if they have money or if they don't have money. The money is right there. And then if they don't have money, you do what Austin did today. You ask them to go and pick up their bank statements, and then you find the money. That's what the financial inventory is for. You are an advisor, guys. You're not there to sell them stuff. You're there to help better their lives. They need the protection. Don't leave the house until you get them the protection. Do what it takes. And if what it takes means ask them for their bank statements like Austin did, go through their expenses and tell them that they're spending $2,100 on Walmart. What are you spending $2,100 on Walmart for?
The Willis brings up a very good point. What if they don't want to go into their finances? What do you do to overcome that? Is there something
if they don't want to go into their finances, it's because they don't trust you. Do a better job building trust. They don't trust you. If they do not want to go into their finances, you're doing a poor job in the home.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
there's trust issues, and there's also like that. The same comes true when it comes time to get a void check or fill in bank information.
I don't ever get a kickback. Okay, so Jada is running with me this week, right? Jada is one of our top producers. She's 19 years old, little dragon, and she look at her. She looks like she's a little anime girl. She's so beautiful. Jada was with me yesterday. I walked into a home, and the first thing that he said was, "I'm not filling no application." He's a lawyer, an attorney, and he didn't even want to tell me what the first name of their kids were. And that was when I was filling out the credibility sheet. And at the end of the presentation, the end of my time with him, he was filling out an application for almost $6,000 AP. And he gave me all of the information of his kids, his social security number. Jada, did any of the people that I sat with blinked when I asked them for their social security number?
No.
Did they blink when I asked them for their voided check?
No.
He told me, I'm doing no application. I just want the information. And I left his house with a $6,000 policy. So guys, if you're sitting in there and you're not doing a good job of establishing trust, you're gonna get those objections. You are not a salesperson, you are an advisor. Act like it. Go in there, act in the best interest of your client. Ask the right question. Establish yourself as a professional. Show them your license. Make jokes, be personable. Make them feel that they can trust you. You're not gonna get those objections if you do that. Now, if you go in there, you need to call your manager, you get up and you go outside to make a call. They're gonna be like, why are they leaving to call their manager?
Yeah, it's like timeshare style.
Why didn't you just call them right here? Like, that's weird. If you get there and you start asking a bunch of personal questions and you actually didn't have a conversation with them about anything really, that's just weird. If you don't show them your license and you don't tell them what it is that you do, and again, that's why the role and purpose is so important. Go back to the first call that we did on this series. Okay, role and purpose. Tell them what it is that you're doing, how are you going to be doing, how long it takes, because you don't want to kidnap your clients. So
there's another really good question here.
what is it?
If you have a couple who is the main, like out of the couple, if you have a couple and one is the main breadwinner and one is a stay-at-home mom, or a stay-at-home parent, could be either or, right? Do you only write the policy for the breadwinner, or do you put something in place for the stay-at-home parent as well?
Who asked that question?
Amber Emmert.
Amber, can you unmute? Where are you?
Where's Amber at?
Oh, I see you. Oh my God, look at you. You're so beautiful. Amber. Okay, so Amber, let me ask you a question. So if that dad that's bringing all that money and he has kids and the wife is a stay-at-home mom because she needs to take care of the kids, if you lose the mom, how is he going to take care of those kids?
Right.
So what I usually do is stay-at-home mom, I put like a $10,000 bill right next to her name and say, okay, so you stay at home mom, okay, great, you bring in $10,000. And they laugh, and I'm like, yeah, because if you're gonna need to get help to take care of all those kids and replace what it is that you're doing in this house, it's gonna cost you at least $10,000 a month. And they agree with me. So yeah, you need protection there, because God forbid something happen, this dad's gonna have to hire people to help him.
Right.
So don't discount the fact that somebody's a stay-at-home mom. Because they're not bringing income doesn't mean that it wouldn't cost income to be able to replace her, right?
Right.
Also, there's that critical period when they pass away. What are you gonna do? Like, the guy's devastated, the kids are devastated, he's gonna need some help, he has the mortgage to pay, he needs to go to work, he needs to take care of the kids, and the kids need school, the kids need, you know, there's all kinds of things need to go through activities and things like, what are you going to do? So usually I always put, like, it doesn't need to be $10,000, it can be a $5,000 dollar bill, but you want to make them understand that that stay-at-home mom is worth a lot of money. And if he loses her, he's going to have to come up with a way of replacing her to be able to take care of those kids. So no, I always go for protection on both.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
All righty.
She also had a follow-up question, which you addressed earlier. It's if they tell you right off the bat that they're not going to fill out an application today, what do you use as a rebuttal to keep the conversation going? That's exactly what happened to you yesterday.
So what happened to me yesterday was I walked into this house, this very nice man, which is now doing my will. I have an appointment with him. He's an attorney. And I walked in. That's just a wall, guys. Somebody says, I'm not filling no application. You know he has the money, lives in this beautiful home. He's an attorney. You know, it's just a wall. He's putting a wall in there. I sat down and he says, I'm doing no application. And I said, okay, no problem. And he said, because I thought you were just supposed to come here and give me some information. I said, that's exactly what I'm here for, Dexter. You don't need to fill any applications out. I'm going to give you the information. If you'd like to do an application after I give you the information, I'll help you with that. If you don't, I'm not going to force you to do anything. And then he said, oh, you bet you're not going to force me to do anything. I'm like, you got that right. And then those are my favorite clients. Those are my favorite. They become my best friends forever. Okay. BFFs. Then I know exactly how to break that wall. I break that wall by making him understand how trustworthy I am. So I did my role on purpose. I told him what I was going to do. I told him who I am. I showed him my license. He wrote down my license number. He wrote down my name. He wrote down my marriage name. I'm just seeing him writing everything down. Then he made a comment on my diamonds, which I don't have on me right now, which is a massive diamonds, because a lot of you know I own a jewelry company. He said, well, that's a massive diamonds. I'm like, I know, yeah, because I own a jewelry line. What? You want a yeah, I do. I pick up my phone, I put Vivian Vile, Forbes, and I pull the article with my face on it, the first thing that you see on Forbes. And I said, this is me. He's like, what? You own Forbes? I'm like, yeah, that's me. I own a jewelry line that was featured on Forbes, and this is my other company. And I don't do this for money. I do this because it changed my life. Mortgage protection saves my $700,000 home. And then I told him my why, which is the last call from this series, you guys are going to understand the most powerful thing you're going to have on your mortgage protection presentation is your why. Why do you do this? Why do you work with mortgage protection? Why do you protect people from losing their homes with life insurance? I have a very strong why. You're going to find out in a few calls from now. So I straight up told him the reason I do this is because mortgage protection saves my life. It saved my home. It saves my business. Without it, I would have lost my $700,000 home. I would have lost my multi-million-dollar business. And then I told him the story. I told him my why. At the end of my why, he's like, he couldn't speak. You remember Jada? Jada is feeding my baby. She's my babysitter. I get my top producers and I turn them into babysitters. Anyway, so I told him my why. At the end of the why, he was like, oh my God. And he completely saw his kids being on my situation by what I went through. So right there, what I did is I brought emotion into that meeting, into that sale, which is extremely important when it comes to mortgage protection. Then after I did that, I'm filling out the information. I asked him, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm an attorney. I said, oh, you are an attorney. What type of law do you do? I do general law. Okay, awesome. My brother is 32 years old and he's one of the biggest tax attorneys in Brazil. Oh, really? Yeah, really. I put my phone and I pull my brother's website and there are all the certifications, all the awards. He's a professor at one of the biggest law schools in Brazil. And he's reading that. He's like, wow, this kid's 32 years old. Your parents must be very proud of both of you. So by just relating to him and showing him that I am trustworthy, that I'm real, that I'm human, that I walk up and I fall just like everybody, telling him my experiences and making him see how human I am and why I'm doing this and how honest I am. At the end of doing everything, he was like, okay, where's the application? I want to do an application right now. But he just told me before that he wasn't going to do an application. What happened?
Yeah,
I didn't even ask him. Like, I didn't even like, oh, let's do an application. No, what's the next step? That was it. So the way that you address most people, when somebody tells them in the beginning of the presentation, they're not doing an application, they're going to give them options, if that, and then they're going to leave because they have a bunch of other appointments. Do you know what I did? I spent 4 hours at his house. I showed him that I'm trustworthy. I showed him that he could rely on me on my advice. I showed him that I'm a professional and I'm darn good at what I do. And at the end of the presentation, 4 hours later and 3 appointments that I blew through, I wrote a $6,000 policy on him. I made over $6,000 on that sit. It took me 4 hours.
Do you think that agents get into this game where sometimes they're chasing appointments because they just don't think it's going to happen within the first 5 minutes? If they get an objection like that, like, I'm not doing anything today. I just
Yes, most agents would get up and leave. I don't, because I like a challenge. And you know what? I've had situations before that I did do that. And I spent 2-3 hours in a home and I didn't close, but that's okay. Do you know why that's okay? I'm not in this business for the money, guys. I'm in this business to help people. So
yeah,
at least I know I fought for them.
Yeah.
I did everything I could to make them understand how important this is. And if I didn't win, and I've had situations, Adriana knows, I've had situations where I did that and I was in the home for 3 hours and I got home at 1 o'clock in the morning and it was a no close because they just couldn't understand how important it was. And I get mad because I know that these people one day are going to regret it, but I do it so my conscience is clean that I did everything I could to help them understand. So don't chase appointments because that's not going to get you anywhere. What you should be chasing is the opportunity of helping people. And if you do that, you're going to win every single time. Care, and you're going to win every single time. So
go Amber. She's on Birch's team. She just locked out some
Greg. I love Greg.
Yeah,
He's the biggest friend I have.
Literally.
Literally.
So, guys, does anyone else have any questions about the financial fire drill? We're running, we're just over 9 o'clock here Eastern. So we're going to wrap up the call. Last call for questions. Financial fire drill. Going once.
Dolores is asking any advice for an age leads from 2005. Yes, just run them exactly like I'm teaching you to do, Dolores, because those are the best leads in the industry. Know that a lot of times you're going to find people that already have mortgage protection. Those are my favorite appointments because it's much easier for you to replace a policy than to have to sell one. So you go in there, this is very important, guys, age leads. You want to make sure they flush out their policies. They're going to say, oh, I don't know where it is. It's in a safe. It's in the bank. It's all bullshit. They just don't want to find it. Get them the policy out. Oh, why do you want to see the policy? Well, I'm just telling you, yesterday I went into a home. This guy was paying $400 for a policy and the policy was already lapsed. He didn't even know, this is true story, okay?
Sure, yeah.
This guy was paying $400 for a policy. It was an IUL. The policy lapsed because it was past the guaranteed period. He was still paying $400 for that policy and he had no death benefit anymore. He didn't want to flush out the policy. And then at the end of the application, after I did like a whole thing with them and they did not want to do an application and it was a no sale, I packed everything up. I'm leaving. She's like, hold on a minute. Let me just go pick up that policy. She picked up the policy and then I found out that they were paying $400 and they had zero insurance because that's what happens with an IUL when it's not built properly. So I was able to show them exactly what was happening and I replaced that policy for a $390 policy. No, actually that's not true. It was more than $400 because whatever they had, they got like many, many years ago. I think it was $490 a month. So flush out the policies, especially on aged mortgage leads. You want to make sure that you flush out the policy. What I mean by flush out the policy, make the clients take the policy and show you the policy. So you can review it. And if you don't know how to review it, take pictures, send it to a manager. Your manager will review it for you and tell you what to do. It's much easier to replace than to sell. Okay. So,
the trainings, guys, I mentioned this before. We're not gonna publish these right away. They're gonna be published in maybe a couple of weeks from now on the whole series. We just don't want people getting used to like not showing up just because there's gonna be recordings. There's nothing like the live interaction. If you guys want to ask questions, this is the format to do so in. So yeah, they will be published. We promise. We're not just gonna like lock these away. They're meant to help everybody. So we're gonna announce exactly where they are. You guys will find out about it. Don't worry about that. That's coming later. So on that note, I think we're gonna end the call. Next week, how to avoid to think about it. Someone's trying to get in here at this time. It's a little late for that, but thanks for joining us, guys. Vivian, any last things to say before I end the call?
Just go out there this week, guys. And I had a lot of people reach out to me last week about mortgage protection and not being able to close. And the best advice that I can give you guys is stop trying to close. Stop trying to close. Stop trying to make money. Every time you're going out there thinking about the money, you will make no money because you're putting a type of pressure on yourself that is it's just going to bring you down. What you should be focusing on is how many people can I protect per week? How many people can I affect and can I help avoid losing their homes or not having the money to bury their parents? What can I do? What is it that I can do today to help and impact somebody's life today? If you change your mindset to that and you stop thinking about the money that you're going to make, trust me, you're going to be texting me next week and say, Vivian, I just made that little change and it completely changed the results this week. And the reason our team, we have so many people that are just, they're doing so well right now, it's because that's the thing that I try, getting everybody on our team to understand. This business is not about money. It's about people. It's about helping people. It's about serving. So go out there this week and serve. Forget about the money. Do the best for your clients and trust me, the money will come. This is not a business about money. It's a business about people. It's a business about protecting. So go and protect. Because in this business, if you do right by your client, you can make a lot of, I was going to say some bad words, a lot of money if you do right by your client. But if you
Very
take
well said.
money, not so much. So go out there, have an amazing week this week. I hope this training helped, and I'll see you guys next week.
7 p.m. next week Eastern, guys. We had to push this call an hour later, which was unfortunate, but we had a previous engagement. So next week there'll be an announcement, 7 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. See you later, guys. Peace.